they need to be open. They need to be willing to try, to fail, to go into areas that they've never done before.
You have to be confident in yourself, and you have to be interested in many different fields.
I think employers appreciate when you're willing to kind of go the extra mile and try different things.
Sociability, to be honest. I think it's more and more important that people are able to get on with other people.
The key things they were looking is just the basic understanding of the things that you've learned. It's that solid ground. Are you able to learn and adapt to that situation?
To have the ability to hold a good conversation, to be honest. I know that sounds kind of silly, but to have the confidence of actually going up to, you know, an adult, you know, someone who's in the workplace, but approaching them as a peer, you know, as a potential future employer, etc.
I think it's very important for students to be able to have a thorough knowledge of their own field, in particular that they're studying their core subjects, but at least a little bit of knowledge in other fields that are semi-related to what they're doing.
At this point in time, I think you need to give people the broad scale of how to work particular things, and when technology improves, you will have the broad spectrum to use it, and then you will have to teach yourself to get into it. The skills I acquired in my college career is definitely working in a team. You're working way more in a team environment.
And the ability to work with people, management skills, definitely leading different teams of students and other people I happen to work with.
When you hear art degree, you don't think, you know, what's she gonna do? You know, is she going off and doing a few paintings? Here's a few bob, make a portrait of my dog. It's not what I'm doing, and it's not what I did. I branched off into film and photography, which gave me a lot of technical skills in, you know, editing software, camera work, etc., etc.
Well, I've certainly gotten a lot better at soldering stuff. I've got a lot better understanding of components and resistors and capacitors and how they work together, and how to get just a bunch of random things and make it into a big electrical project, or like a speaker or an amp or something like that.
My skills mostly would be more technical and related to the modules or the engineering modules that I took, mostly in terms of electronics and a lot of programming.
The most beneficial skills I have gained are team working. I study business and entrepreneurship, so in the future I would love to open my own business. So it's very good for me to get a feel of working with different personalities, and trying to see whether I'm a leader, or would I need a manager over me.
I think the priority for Irish education in the future should be continued engagement with practicality, with practical application for research, and training young minds to actually be applicable in the future, to be able to do a function, not just learn about it and parrot it back, and to be able to talk about it, be able to either teach it or apply it to something.
We really need an education system that can look at the whole student, not just his theory, not just his intelligence and things like that, but what he can contribute to society.
Colleges, and in particular, should have communications with multiple colleges in America, multiple colleges in Europe, all around. I know Erasmus is a thing, but it's not showcased as much as it should be. It should be a lot more heavily brought on.
The education system, it's theory based, it's results driven, and there's an awful lot more to education than just results.
I think if there was a priority in accommodation, it would have a nice knock-on effect in making sure that students had a proper higher education experience.
In our college, for example, there's TV screens all around the college that are there to display bus times. It's helpful for students, but really we don't need that. We need the money to be put into the printers, or to be put into more computer labs.
I think a quite large issue that will be more prevalent in upcoming years is the half-life of facts. I think if you're doing medicine, they're told that within your lifetime, within about 4 to 5 years of working, half of all the quote-unquote facts you know are untrue.
And it's coming to the point now where you're learning stuff that by the time you're done, in certain cases, is behind you. It's done, something new has come out.
One of the big issues will probably be economic. There's all these bills and proposals from the government about, raising fees for colleges, which is very frightening. Not a lot of students can afford that.
Brexit could affect students that want to go on to maybe do a course in England eventually, maybe not in the near future, but in the distant future. It could affect students that maybe want to go on to do a master's in England or a PhD.
We are talking about students from Northern Ireland coming down. Will they need a visa to come in? Will they be regarded as Irish students? Will they be regarded as international students?
I think the biggest challenge of the future is there's not enough work for people. There's a lot of people with great education, but unfortunately, finishing college, you're not guaranteed a work placement.
I think the world is constantly changing, especially in terms of the way you use technology. For example, the use of Internet of Things, how they use it in the current world, and how they using smart systems to understand what people do.
Technology-wise, there's not going to be any writing implements. Everything's either going to be on a tablet. You're either going to record it with your voice. I feel like classrooms could be more, in the future, more virtual in terms of you could not necessarily even be in the classroom. You could just put on a headset and see the classroom where the lecturer is giving a virtual lecture.
I would make it more feasible for all people. There are people that would love to get higher education, and they're very hardworking people, but unfortunately they can't afford it.
One change I would make to the Irish education system would be an increase on distance learning. There is less and less need for multiple people to be in the same room learning. The learning environment has changed. It is very easily or possible to Skype interview, to look at videos of a lecture, to do online tutorials, to do online assessments.
The colleges and the higher education need to broaden the horizons of everyone who goes into it, because Ireland is one stone in an incredibly big pond, and it's incredibly hard to get access to that pond without help.
I think the one thing I'd change is the way you get into it. The Leaving Cert and the CAO are quite stressful.
The one thing I would change about the Irish education system would be the CAO system. I think that it's kind of generally flawed in its mechanism. It's fair enough if you know you want to do this one course, you put down 10 variations of that one course, but some people will apply for, they'll have everything from biology to bartending on their CAO, and it's a very flawed system. It doesn't really make much sense.
I would replace the CAO with maybe something more comparable to the American system of monthly or yearly testing, rather than everything coming to a big kind of final showdown of you versus education system,
I would find that putting into more of a continuous assessment basis would be better, not just in third level, but in second as well. Because we can all say we'd sooner get rid of the Leaving Cert than say that again.